I would love to introduce. I hope I'm not going to say your name wrong this time, but Kirsten. I want to be, I'm tempted to go to the German like Kirsten pronunciation, but is it
It
Kirsten?
is. It is
Kristen.
Kirsten. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
that's Kirsten.
This is
Ooh,
Kirsten.
now
Yeah.
we're tricky here.
Now we're tricky. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, yes, you can lean into it's technically Scandinavian, so you can lean directly into the Kier and that very European pronunciation. Which fun fact, actually, a fun fact question. Nobody called me like my proper pronunciation except for my husband, who is Czech. So he was the first person to really be like, no, your name is just Kirsten. It's not Kirsten, it's Kirsten. That's what it is. And I was like, oh, okay. So that's a fun fact.
Okay, so I'm going to go for it. I'm going to call you Kirsten today. I'm going to be all proper. Okay. Um, So yeah, I want to introduce Kirsten. She is an international fine art wedding planner and heirloom designer. Bit of a long title, but very cool title. We're going to see today, without giving too much away at the start, that fine art seems to be a common thing today. And heirloom designer. So I want to sort of dig into both of those things with you today because they both sound interesting, especially the heirloom designer part. And your business is called, again with the pronunciation, is it Nóbl Events? No,
Yeah,
Nóbl Events. Okay,
exactly.
okay,
Yeah.
cool. And you're based out in Canada.
Yeah.
Is that right? So what time is it there?
It is 12 p.m., so noon, Eastern Standard Time.
Cool, cool.
Yeah.
I love a good repeating number because I'm a bit woo-woo
Yeah.
like that. Uh, yeah, and it's not just yourself. You have a team of planners and floral
Yeah.
designers. Yeah.
Yes. So we have, over the past few years, we've basically tried to integrate. We still work with independent preferred floral designers, but I do have freelancers that will come in and design under the Nóbl name. So we do both. It depends really on the client and it depends on where. We haven't really expanded doing it under Nóbl in Europe, for instance, that we will go to European based florists and make sure that, because it's a different market. But in Canada, I've had freelancers do that. And then, yes, I have a group of planners that work with me. Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Thanks for clarifying that. It sounds
Yeah.
cool and makes a lot of sense. I think that you can sort of adapt to what's needed.
Yes.
And I took a little bit of a dip into your website and your Instagram, and I love this goal that I pulled out from Nóbl: help deserving couples feel seen, special, and celebrated. I thought that was really, really beautiful, and I thought it's kind of cool that that's what we're doing with you today. Where helping you to be seen, to feel hopefully to feel special.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And celebrate. It's what this is all about celebrating each and every one of our members, and that's what we're doing with you today. And again, like your clients, sounds like they've got some really, really great things to say about you. That not just that you're great at what you do, your craft as a wedding planner and heirloom designer, lots of positive things there, but you as a person. So I'm seeing things like that. You're easy to talk to get along with. It feels more like they're working with a caring friend than a professional, although you are professional. So these are like really, really cool things to see. And obviously says a lot about you and how you operate. And I hear you've been in the industry for around 8 years right now. Yeah.
Yeah. We officially became an incorporation in 2019, but there was definitely stuff that was happening previous to that, and 2019 was kind of so. The business itself is about 6 years old. My event career is about 12 years old, and weddings started to kind of come around 8 years in that whole. So there's a lot. It's definitely been a few years of events, but weddings specifically 8, and Nóbl is 6.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
It's
I get it.
a lot of
Yeah.
numbers there. Yeah.
It is. It is. And I think the key thing, what you said about events, is that there was this really cool sort of transition for you, wasn't there, from the general events, or actually, I think in the space of when you were a producer in the entertainment
Yeah.
industry, and how
Yeah.
that, like, I don't I don't want to steal too much of your story because I actually want to hear more from
Yeah.
you. But
Yeah.
I want to come back to that as a sort of lead into our chat. But I wanted to start with a cool, interesting fact about Kirsten, that she collects wax busts.
Yes.
So,
So I'll show you. I'll literally
oh,
show
right.
you because she's on my desk under a coat.
Show and tell. Oh, look at that.
Yeah. I love them. I found like a couple of years ago, I was just like, I really love, and like it's also it's cost effective versus getting, like the hefty molded one. So it was my way of kind of like meeting in the middle, meeting my like want of collecting these like unique things that are very old world and very historic without having to give my husband a heart attack every 6 months because I come in with a new bust or something like that. So yes, it was my compromise to meet in the middle.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And it's made for an interesting fact today. Does anyone else happen to collect wax busts on the call? Okay. So that is definitely one thing that makes you unique, at least in this
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
and interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So I said I wanted to come back to your story because from what I read, it sounded super interesting and also inspiring. And, you use the word universe. And I'm a little bit woo-woo and I love all that stuff, that the universe delivered you this gift, this
Yeah.
shift in careers. So can you like tell us all a bit more today about
Yeah.
that story and how it all led to you becoming a planner?
Yeah, no, yeah. So it definitely, I'm also like that. So I totally understand where you're coming from. I don't believe in coincidences, and I do believe that everybody has a purpose and plan. So I was a film kid. That's where I started. I actually started in film. And my background is in film studies with a specialization in media business. So I was really gearing up to be a producer, and that's what I wanted to do. And um, that's where it all kind of started. And then I did a little postgraduate in publishing, and obviously there's book launches and things like that in the marketing world, and in publicists and things like that they also touch base in that. So I was really gearing up towards stories. That's really where my heart was wanting to work with stories and around stories. And what I kept finding is that in these roles that I had, where I was working on, commercials, and I was working on book launches, and I was working on other things, it kept coming back to events. Every single job, even though the job was not an event producer or event coordinator or whatever the title is, I was always doing an event or pulling off an event or somehow got involved in finalizing an event. And so that's kind of like where it all started, is in these other roles and in these other places, I was, doing events. And where I kind of felt like I got led into what I'm doing now is I was actually working at a rather large and rather now they have quite a bit of notoriety in the world of emerging writers. And we were putting on a writers conference out of New York. And I'd spent the last like 9 months working on this writers conference. We had talent, we had, all this different stuff that was coming into this conference. And the person who was my boss had a very traumatic thing happen in her life, and not even necessarily in her life, but in her sister's life. And something very seismic shifted in her, like her energy towards everybody became very, very different. And it got me fired. So I was working and I was doing what I was doing, and there really wasn't, I was new to the business. So there wasn't really, like there was definitely learning curves, and there were definitely things that looking back, I'm like, I could have been doing this better, and I could have been, I could have gotten this concept more now than at this age and that age. It would have been a totally different thing, but there wasn't really anything that was like a big red flag. And I was also the only person working on this event. So getting rid of me was actually very objectively not smart, but I got fired. And so I actually had a ticket already booked to New York, and I was already had it. So I said to my husband, I was like, let's just go anyways, because we already took the time off. We already booked the tickets, they're already paid for, but we'll go stay with my essentially, I call her my great godmother, but she's my she's my cousin, and she is in New York bridal fashion. She's a designer for Yumi Couture. And so we went and stayed with her, and through that time, I poured my soul out to her, and I cried, and she basically just was like, I'm not worried about you. You're going to figure it out. You're going to figure it out. You're going to be okay. What do you love more than anything? Like, what is it that you are just so consumed with? And find that thing, that through line. And that's where you're going to find yourself. And that conversation and that trip really was where I started being like, oh, wow. Yeah. In every single role, like now I say it and you're like, oh, she did events in every single thing. But at the time, it was completely hidden to me. I had no real perception of the fact that events had been following me through every single aspect of everything that I was doing. And so it was on that trip where I was supposed to be doing this event that I figured out that events had been following me consistently. And the reason why I was so heartbroken about this job wasn't about the job, but it was about this event that I hadn't been able to see through to its totality, and that I wasn't able to really fine tune all the details and see the execution and do all of that stuff. And so from there, it shifted into, okay, well, what type of events do I want to do? I had just gotten married myself, and I know that as a planner and other planners, they hear that and they go, oh God, another bride who thinks that she can be a planner. But I actually was like, I'm good at this. And I've done events. It's not just what I want to do weddings specifically because it's emotionally driven. It's not money driven, even though there's a money aspect to it and there's a spend. I just gone through this whole thing where this event didn't matter because of a person's emotions. She'd written me off. And so I was like, I don't want to do something where someone goes, I don't care at the end of the day. It doesn't matter. I want to work on events where it matters. And so it just naturally was like, well, I just got married and I see the things that happened well, and I see the things that didn't happen because I did not have a planner. And I was like, I want to protect other people with my skill set if I can do that. So it transitioned into, okay, let's go for that. And so I started the business, and then over time, it transitioned into a specific style, a specific brand, a specific niche, a specific look for my designs, and so on and so forth. So that's kind of like where it all started, is that whole thing. Whole thing that at 24 felt very traumatic, and now at 32 almost, I'm like, it's okay. Wasn't for me, right? I was supposed to be doing something else. So
Yeah. Wow. Wow, that's incredible. Like how the universe delivered you all those little pieces, all those dots that just seem to connect. And it seems like the timing was just perfect with you getting married and things, and then having the experience of not having a planner, like everything just connected to result in that
exactly.
like
100%.
clear, like big shift
Yes.
into your next chapter.
Very big shift.
I love what you said, how like events were following you, like the terminology you used, like you weren't following it, events was following, like it's been following you this whole time without you even seeing it and realizing it. And I think that the beautiful thing is that you took that plane to New York, like you got some physical distance, and in that getting that distance and that space, like you got these realizations. Just awesome. So you started telling me that from that your own style started to emerge. So can you tell us a bit more about that? Like what is your vibe, your unique style?
So again, with this transition from being an employee to being an employer to being independent to doing all these different things, you like you said, it was the shift in my mentality. So as you do, you start to assist other people, right, to get experience before you really want to be, taking on contracts. You're like, I need to make sure that I am not crazy, that this is not something that is just a fluke of a feeling, that I actually want to do this. So I started assisting a bunch of different people. And I also just was really sitting with myself. Again, this is before I had kids and things like that. I had loads of time to sit and think and write and journal and project and do all this different stuff. So I really stepped into that space for myself. And I started saying yes to things I wouldn't say yes to. And I started to just like open myself up to a bunch of different opportunities. And I started to make like mood boards. I just like started to do all the stuff and really like ask myself what I wanted to do. And so what I realized through assisting other people is that I was not the type of person who liked to come on short term, be there for a little bit, get the bare minimum of the details, make sure that I can do it. I can do it darn well if I say so myself, but it is not my preference. I like to be a full-time planner. I like to be with you from the very beginning. I like to work with you in very, very minute detail. I like to be your confidant. I like to be a person that you trust and that I'm your sounding board. I like that. That is a preference of mine. So I want to be full-time versus what I was seeing where people were really coming on and it was a very short turnaround and they didn't really know and nobody really trusted them and the venue didn't really, and I saw all that things. I was like, no, this doesn't help anybody. It only causes stress. And it was many different experiences that I saw through assisting that I was like, yeah, this isn't for me. And then on the flip side, so that's the logistical side. And then I also realized I was like, I love design. I know not every planner designs, but I do like to design. And I love to design for a timeless feel. I want you to be 80 years old and I want you to look back at what you have and show your grandkids and show whoever, or show your dog or whoever you are with at 80 years old and be like, I still believe that this is beautiful. I don't think that I am being limited by the trends of the time or the colors of the time, or, we're just here because, that pink was in that summer and that was the Pantone tone of the, that's not what I want to be inspired by. I wanted to be inspired by the timelessness because let's put it this way. And I say this to my couples a lot because the design process for me is very much so, I actually make them give me things that have nothing to do with weddings. I want to see the architecture that you like. I want to see books that you like, the movies, the music. I make them only give me 5 images that have anything to do with a wedding. Everything else out of 20 images has to be other types of things. And then I derive a design that is about them. They come to me obviously for the very specific floral look and things like that, but it's about them and what actually makes them. Because at the end of the day, I kind of say to them, I'm like, if we're trying to treat your wedding like a work of art, we want to be making a Monet, not a dead mouse. Now, you can fight me, but Monet inspired dead mouse. Mozart is the stepping ground for what we have today. So I want your wedding to feel like a Monet and like a Mozart, not a Britney Spears, and you can fight me about how they've trended and how they've changed music, but we're all still going back to the notes that were written. And I want it to be that old school, timeless. It's going to last till the end of the age. No matter what dictator comes into power, it's still going to last till the end of the age. Right? So that's what is the motivation. It's the history. It's the music. It's the art. It's more than just that moment in time. It's the launch of your whole family. It's your culture. It's your everything about you being infused into the small details. And for me, that means timelessness, and that means garden-esque, and that means a very specific look and feel, which is where the heirloom designer comes in, because then it's also those little details you take away. It's the book, like we do illustrations of the designs, and you literally get the same way a photographer gives you a album of photos, you get an album of your custom renderings of your design, right? So it's you literally walk away with elements that are yours, that nobody else that comes to me will ever get the same book. They'll never get the same look or feel. It's all about who you are and how to make that fine art look match you. And even not, like, we can do other types of things. I've had weddings where they said I absolutely want no flowers at all. We did 700 candles, baby. Then we lit them all, and it was what it was. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it was. So it doesn't have to fit exactly the same mold, but I'm also obviously working within, you can see I work a very specific aesthetic to a certain degree as well. So yeah.
I love that 700 candles, baby. I can see that. A caption for one of your blogs.
It was a lot of candles. Yes.
Yeah, that's going to stick with me. But I mean, everything you said is going to stick with me because that's incredible to hear. Well, first of all, just the passion and energy and clarity with which you say all of those things alone, like before we get into the specifics of what you said, is just awesome. Like to hear that, like it started as your personal experience with your own wedding, then it went into like assisting people, seeing what you liked, what you didn't like, what was you, what wasn't you, and you've feels like you've come to such a level of strong clarity, which is awesome and so powerful. I can imagine with when you just talk to not just us but to your couples as well. I can imagine that really resonates with your couple, which is kind of what I wanted to ask you about next, because on your website you talk about the noble couple. So like tell us a bit more, like what does the noble couple look like?
So the noble couple has no exact shape or color or anything like that, but they do have a certain sense of family. Family is very important to them. They are not motivated by trends, which makes sense, right? Like they may have things that they like and that they see, but they are also very self-assured people who have a very clear, they may not have a clear vision about the wedding. They may come in with absolutely no idea about the wedding, but they are typically career people. They're typically people who are passionate about a job. They are working. I mean, I've had so many doctors, lawyers, tech people, film people. They're still in school. They move countries. They like, much like, Kristen, I've had lots of people who are like, I'm marrying somebody who's here. I'm transporting my whole life. Or I've had couples where they've actually transported their whole life somewhere else and they're coming here because it has a special place. So it's that sense of like, we have direction. We're a person who has direction and is very passionate about something. And so they resonate with me because, as you say, we come together and I'm passionate for the wedding and for the event. And it makes them feel like, okay, even if I don't have a clue, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be represented in all of the details. So it's people who are very family oriented, very personally driven, very passionate about their career, no matter what it is. They're very much so into the details. They are aesthetic. They do like to see things match or look like they care about that. And for, my brides and grooms, where there's a groom, like he may not care about the peony, but he cares about the experience that he's going to be giving to whoever it is that's coming into the wedding. He's also relevantly aware of the fact that, like, I'm not going to be a stereotypical guy. I'm actually caring about this feeling for my family, because a lot of the people that I deal with as well, I don't know why, there is some type of family dynamic. And again, this is why family is such a big thing. There's some type of family dynamic we have to be sensitive about. We have to think very carefully about. We have to honor. Definitely, I attract a lot of people who have cultural combinations, which makes sense because I am in a multi-ethnic relationship. I am multi-ethnic myself. So I love dealing with that type of stuff. And that just seems to be the couple that I gravitate towards and who gravitates towards me. So yeah, those are kind of like very surface level, those are kind of the people that I attract and who are attracted to me.
Yeah. Well, I think you went beyond surface level, to be fair. In some of the things, you gave us a lot there, and I couldn't help but noticing that so much of that stuff just sounds like you. It's so much of the things you described it sound just like you, because even if they're not passionate about weddings per se and events, they're passionate about something, and passion reads
100%.
passion, right? So that they
100%.
probably sense that connection in that way.
Yeah.
I love that. And speaking of passion, like if you were to home in on like one, two, three things, maybe even just one thing, like what do you love most, like absolute most about your work that you could just do day in, day out, never get tired of?
That's a really good question. It's a hard question because there's quite a few things. But I
I'll give
find
you
that
a few
this is the
things.
thing. uh, there are, I think the thing that I'm most passionate about, and this doesn't even, to be honest, but this doesn't even only relate to my wedding clients, but in events in general, because at the heart of an event, and this is what it took me time to realize, after my hurt mid-20 feelings wised up a little bit and I looked at events. I ran away from all types of events because I was like, it's heartless. There's nothing in it. It's all about money. But the truth of the matter is it's not. And so my favorite thing about doing events is finding the thing that is the heart of the event. That's the thing I could do all day, every day, no matter what the event is finding what the heart of the event is and then honoring that in all aspects of it. Even the most techie, boring thing that you're like, oh, I couldn't do that. It's so like, oh, it's so nothing. There is a heart there. There's a purpose there. I like finding that thing. It changes my entire perspective about doing the event as soon as I can find that thing. So that's the thing I think I would do the most if I could do it over and over again, even if that was just my job. Just find the heart of the thing and tell somebody else and they'll do it. I'd be like, yeah, sure, I'll come in. I'll just find the heart of it. And then here's a consult on how you can approach it from that heart. I would do that all day, every day.
Wow, that's deep. I mean, it's probably as deep as it gets.
I told you I was blue.
Yeah. Because I mean that resonates with me personally, because I'm all about the depth as well, and meaning, and I because I know, I not just believe, I know that when you find that core, when you find that heart, everything else makes sense. Everything else is connected to that, and everything else comes out of that. All the ideas come from, and I can imagine that's the same for you with everything you've shared so far. Beautiful. Yeah. And like, where's this all going? Like, do you have a big dream, a big vision, core mission in this world?
Yeah, I mean, the thing of it is like realistically where I'd like this to go, is that I like the dream for Noble specifically is that I'm able to serve couples and keep being able to serve couples over decades and be one of these brands where, when you look back at the wedding industry, there's an impact because we've been a part of creating this kind of heartfelt environment and people find us because of the passion that you're talking about, that we kind of read each other. And so it's a brand that's not maybe, sure, I love getting published. I'm a human being and I love getting published and I love, seeing my art be out there, but I don't need to be published. I don't need to be acknowledged from Brides to Vogue to wherever, right? But I do love knowing that there are these pockets of people that I have interacted with that they remember the wedding day as being something that was a true honoring of their love for each other, that they really felt and remembered that I was a part of their joy. And so if that could be the legacy that Noble left, then I would be very, very proud of Noble. And I have struggled with finding out how to adapt marketing and all of that stuff to be front and center for the couples that I know, that if we interacted and if they really understood the value of what I'm trying to do beyond just their wedding day, that they would be my couple. They would be the exact type of couple that I would work with and that I would see and that I would be able to assist and help and create that legacy with. But at the same time, like I said, you know, right now, actually, what I'm doing while I'm trying to figure everything out for Nóbl is I am a event coordinator for the Toronto International Film Festival. And so I am working to find and to complete that type of purpose in other spaces, and I'm finding it, right? Like it's part of that growth of being able to create that type of legacy, even if it doesn't look exactly the way that I thought it would. It's not over. It's not like it's done, but it's just like while I'm in this space of figuring things out in this next transitional phase of the business, being able to still create that legacy as an individual who is an event producer, right? Being that type of event producer, no matter what I touch or no matter what I'm involved with. So yeah, that's I think that's actually two questions. That's the struggle. And then that's also that's the dream. That's the dream of what I want to achieve as an event coordinator and as an event planner. Right.
Well, yeah, and I mean the struggle and the dream, they're always like that, right?
Always.
They kind of come as a pet. One feeds the other. The struggle feeds the dream. So I think it's beautiful you mentioned them both at the same time. And I love what you said about, you know, it's not about the accolades and the surface level stuff, the ego sort of blowing up your ego stuff, but it's the human stuff, about, you know, being part of people's like love stories and, you know, being part of like the most meaningful thing of people's lives. So I really get that. And just talking about the struggles, I think you were telling us a bit about maybe struggling getting in front of people, getting in front of the right people so that they can see that you are the right person for them. Like, what would you say, if you can think of anything that we as a community could do to support you with that struggle?
Well, I mean, honestly, part of the reason why this community has been something that I've enjoyed so much, I haven't been able to be as vocal and as open as I wanted to, because obviously life and things and stuff like that. But the one thing that this community already gives me is knowing that I have people I share values with. That's always something that when you're out there and you're searching and you're not sure what's going to happen and you're not sure how it's going to turn out, but you know that there are other people who are on the same page with you. Even if they can't fix it for you, they can't make it perfect for you, they can't do the work for you, but they are at least like, what you believe in isn't stupid. The way that you want to do this isn't wrong. The way that you designed and desired this in your head, it's real and it's valuable, and we see the value. So no matter if it happens next year or 10 years from now, your vision is a value and is of value. That's already such an important key thing, and that's why I'm a part of it. If, you know, I'm obviously excited to be in front of couples and to be, you know, because of the integrity behind the entire company and the entire vision for, you know, all of us to be here, that I hope that it obviously directly aligns with being with couples who are like, you're always about this anyways. Like, we're coming here because we're looking for people who share that vision and or who are going to treat us with dignity, respect, and who are going to be, you know, people who want to see that for us, right? Because of all the things we've talked about with, you know, money and transparency and all of these different things, you know, they're hopefully already coming and knowing that this is a safe space for people and vendors who are going to align with the fact that they don't want any of that nonsense in the first place. So I think that it's already serving a purpose for me personally. And I think that as it grows and it evolves, it will continue to serve a purpose for the marketing and the, you know, the whole business business side of the thing, you know? So it's like, yeah, that's that for me right now. That's where I'm at. That's what I enjoy. And that's kind of like my commentary about that as of right now. In a few years, I could be like, hey, like, let's start this initiative and do this thing and whatever. But right now, that's where I'm at.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're at where you're at, and that's beautiful. If you feel like, Connect Wed by design, by its very existence, what it stands for
Yes.
alone is supporting you already. That's amazing. I think that's probably safe to say that's what we want for all our members to feel that way. And yeah, those initiatives, those concrete ideas, projects, that they will happen. They've started to happen. This is one of them.
Yeah,
So there's going to
exactly.
be more and more things like that. So, okay, I've talked enough. I would love that. So thank you, Kirsten, so much for sharing everything you have with us. So I would open up the floor then to whoever wants to start. Questions, comments, anything for
I'll ask
Kirsten.
the first question. You had mentioned a little bit, Kirsten, about your international marriage, but also I know that you have such a heart and desire to work in Europe, and you're really drawn to that aesthetic. So I would just love to hear a little bit more about your passion for that. Why Europe? Why is there that connection there? And what are some ways that you dream of intentionally serving destination couples really well?
Yeah, and that is a really good question, and it does again stem from, for me, it stems from family. So, as I mentioned, I am multi-ethnic, so I have quite a bit of family that is actually from England and Scotland and Ireland. So I have active family members that are there, but then also on my husband's side, um, his predominantly, like, his main family is actually in the Czech Republic. And so while his mom and his dad and his brother came over here, um, the extended family is all there, and the direct grandparents and the aunts. And so for me, I grew up with family being a very big aspect of my life, the grandparents and the aunts and the uncles and the cousins and all that different stuff. So it was something that was already on my heart to be constantly going back over to Europe to be and have my children. I have two little girls who will be able to see their family and get to know, because they're also desperate to get to know them and to be with them and to see them. So already on a personal level, it was something that was going to be a part of my personal plans and things that my husband and I are working towards being able to facilitate financially. And so, separate to that family goal, I have always, I mean, my first trip to Europe was 16. Again, I went to England. I, had this completely spiritual experience. To put it like, I am a very, as you can tell, I'm a very purple prose, very emotional person. And I literally had this, like, and I do have aspects of believing in spirituality and things like that. And so for me, I was literally on the bus leaving the airport, driving past these rolling hills. And it was like I saw visions of, like, the history of the hill, and like my whole spirit like leapt out of my body. I was like, I have to be here. Like, this is like my ancestors are calling me. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I just felt so emotionally enamored with the entire space. And then as an adult, I kept going back, and I traveled to Munich, and I traveled to Amsterdam, and traveled again to Prague and to France and to the south of France, where I actually got to spend some time with Kristen. And as each of these times and each of these travels, I was just like, I just felt such a calling and such a, like, pull back to, this large place with lots of different countries, but just like every single place that I've been able to visit, I've just felt like I'm supposed to be there and I'm supposed to be doing stuff. And like I said, I started saying yes to things that I wouldn't have said yes to anyways. So it just felt like just this natural thing. And I hope to serve couples in the same way I've been able to serve locally, which is really that hard, especially for couples who are coming from North America going over, because there are very big cultural differences. There are things that when you're North American, you don't understand about European processes and things like that. So there's that added level of service of being able to honor the culture of the people who work there, who I get to connect them to, and kind of give that buffer between the North American, let's go, hustle, 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 give me all the things, do all the stuff. And in some places, as you know, that is not the culture. And they're like, no, just not going to. We're just going to relax. And I'm like, let me relax too. So I'll be over here as much as possible. So that's a very like condensed. I could go on for hours about all of that, but that's kind of like the condensed version of my thought process for all of that.
Thank you for sharing all that.
Great question, Kristen, as well. And I'll just let the next person jump in, whoever has a question or comment.
I raised my hand, but I feel like if that was a hand raise, Emma, you should go first.
Oh, thank you. It was kind of, I was like thinking of maybe you already answered the question, but I was thinking about how you were mentioning that you strike me as someone who honors beauty and meaning. So what has been like the most personally fulfilling part of your journey, like in building Nóbl Events so far?
That's a really good question. I think that the most kind of meaning it's a big question, but it's honestly been kind of finding out how to do exactly what you're saying. Like it's been the process because, when I went to get certified as a wedding planner, because I went to school and I did like the, checking off the boxes, right? So I'm a Wedding Planner of Canada certified wedding planner. And so there's, you go through education, the same thing that happened in film school. You get a bunch of theory, you get a bunch of like, this is how you run a business and thinking about taxes and all of this different stuff, but nobody ever really stops and says, okay, so now after the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed and you're legal and you know how to remit taxes, how do you find the soul of what you're doing? So the biggest kind of thrill and the biggest personally fulfilling aspect of this is actually the process of figuring out the why and then actually seeing the why happen with different couples. So like that's actually been the biggest joy and the biggest like celebration, because that part felt so like foreign, that felt so far away, and nobody teaches you how to do that, right? So that's been the biggest, I hope that answers your question, but that's been the biggest like joy and fulfilling part of it.
Yes, it does. And thank you for sharing that.
Are you two Canadians? Did you know each other before ConnectWed, or are you just
No.
You would think.
Well,
I know Canada's big.
where are you located?
I'm in Ottawa, but I actually grew up in Toronto, in Scarborough. So
Okay.
yeah,
I was born
been
in
in Ottawa for 10 years. Really? Oh my gosh.
I was.
Oh.
Yeah. So we were close enough.
Close.
Just missed each other.
Oh.
Well, to be fair, Ottawa is like a 4 or 5 hour drive from Toronto, and I live an hour outside of Toronto proper, so it could even be 6 or 7 hours. So we are not close. We're not close to each
No, Canada's big.
other.
So I have a question and then a tiny little bit of like destination wedding planner advice. So question is, first of all, you and I are so similar in our approach. It's really kind of eerie. But I wonder, so I know you had like a sweet little moment with Steve Moore on our call back in the day. But I'm wondering if you've ever taken like one of his workshops or anything like that, because the like, give me 20 images, blah, 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 is also very similar to his process. So I thought that was really like and interesting. And so did you take?
Yes, I have taken one of his workshops before.
Okay.
Where he touched base on how he kind of like pulls together a design board and things like that, which was definitely inspirational, because it was something that I was doing, and then but it wasn't as refined. So after I learned from him. I didn't get to do his in person. I really want to do it in person one day, but I've only done his online at If I Made, I believe the
Yep.
company was named. It was definitely helped to refine my process, because my process was very similar, but I don't know, it just lacked the sharpness of it. I don't know how to describe exactly what the transition was, but it was definitely the push I need to feel like confident in it and to kind of like actually settle it into the process. So yeah, so he's one of my I love his family and I love what he puts out in his vibe. So like he's definitely somebody that I like, if there's an article or there's something about, like I will read and like study. So yeah, definitely inspired by him. Yes.
He really meant it when he said you could reach out to him. I don't know if you have.
I haven't, because it feels so invasive, but that's my own self-talk. You know what I mean? I really did genuinely feel like if I reached out, he'd be like, oh yes, like let's talk. I don't think he said that just to be like, I'm gonna say that. So, but it just felt like, thank you, but I don't want to bother you.
I, honestly, like part of how we became friends was because, so I think you've heard me say that like I kind of stood up for him in a situation where I didn't know that he would ever see it. And then he sent me a message and I answered him back, and then he took like a few weeks to answer me. And I was like, Steve, you do not ever have to apologize to me. Like I like that constant crushing guilt, and then he just responded back like, I've never felt so seen in my entire life. So I think if you just say the thing, just acknowledge the thing and say, I know how busy you are, so no pressure to respond, but right there for you.
Yeah.
Good egg. And I was just gonna say my like tiny piece of advice, because I, obviously like I know a lot of, planners based in North America who really want to do destination weddings over here. And I've assisted a lot of American planners doing destination weddings over here. And I also watched from a distance a lot of destination wedding planners who are like based in Arkansas, but say they're based in Paris or, whatever. There, in my mind, there are there are the kinds of destination wedding planners who know that things are different over here and acknowledge that and work with that. And then they're the ones who assume they can just like show up here plan. I mean, speaking of dear Steve Moore, his first wedding over here, he assumed he could fly in on Monday and rent the chairs needed and have them show up by Friday. What do you mean you can't get ghost chairs in the middle of nowhere in the Dordogne? So my advice to you, to anyone who wants to plan over here, is be the planner who hires someone local on the ground, fluent in the language, and make that a point of difference between, because I don't know if you spend a lot of time on Reddit, like on Big Budget Brides or anything like that, but like the number of brides I see, not just, well, in that space it is brides, so I'm not being gender normative here, but the number of brides I see on that space talking about how disappointed they are with their planners, whether they're European planners who are just slow and spacey and whatever, or whether they're North American planners who assumed that they could just pull off an event in a country they don't really know that much about, but they think it's pretty. So use that as a point of difference, that like when I plan a destination wedding, I always have somebody on the ground who speaks the language assisting me.
100%. I've actually been to, again, it's so reassuring to hear that, because I actually have somebody who was an assistant who worked with me. I loved her. She was amazing and she was local, but her fiance is in Europe. And so she moved to Europe, and I was just like, do not forget me, because when I finally get over there, like I'm going to call you back in, because like I love you. And so it's very reassuring to hear that, like, that instinct of being like, we're going to have someone local is a good instinct to have. And it's not like, you know, a weird, I don't know. It doesn't sound like it would be weird, but you know what I mean? Like, it's reassuring to hear that.
If you ever need help finding someone local,
Yes,
to France or Italy or whatever, just give me a shout. I know loads of people.
Thanks so much for the wisdom, Ajna. I noticed it's so funny. It's like Nathan had to leave, and he came up as "Happy Birthday, Kristen," and now "Happy Birthday, Kristen" has raised their hand. It's like
No,
I just realized
so happy.
if
So
I didn't know it's Paula, right? Paula,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
If I didn't know people's names, it would be pretty embarrassing. So yeah, Paula, that's a question or something.
Hi, everybody. Also, funny story. Nobody here in the United States say my name correctly either, and so I feel it. I just want to say that it's so inspiring to hear you talk with so much passion. Like I can feel you through the screen, and not only like as a planner, but I would love to just like hear you talking about anything else, like not like about your passion, about how you connect with the universe, about like all of that stuff. It's so nice to like it's inspiring. And I was just wondering, um, for other vendors, what is your approach to transmit all of that it's so important for you and for the couple? Because in the end it's a teamwork, and I feel sometimes it can get lost in translation, right? You put so much effort, and I can see by the way that you talked, right? But I don't know how other vendors connect with you, or like if they connect with you the same way that you connect with the couple. But in the end, it's for them, and it's not only you. You can do everything perfectly, right? But then it's a teamwork. So how do you approach that?
100%. 100%. Yeah, no, it's so bizarre to me to hear stories where people feel, because I'm on different forums and stuff like that, and like I pay attention to like the vendor tables, like Facebook page and things like that. And there's a lot of different times where I'm reading because I just want to be a student to people. And so I've made my share of mistakes, do not get me wrong. Even the best intention can sometimes go awry and things are not perfect. And I have been short on a budget that I thought I was going to have, and that put pressure on other people. Like I've made lots of mistakes, and so I say this with that in mind, that I'm not perfect and that I don't always make the right decision. I don't always make people feel as well taken care of as I want to make them feel. But even with all that in mind, it's always so bizarre to me when I'm reading these stories and I'm like, how did we get hired for the same wedding, but we're just on such different planets? It's like we've never met, touched base, we've never talked, we have no respect for each other. Like it's like a very bizarre thing when I hear people write these stories about, oh, the planner didn't consult me, or the photographer went off on their own and did this whole thing. Like it's such a weird thing to me, because I have genuinely, and it might be the same type of thing, it's like passion knows passion, I've genuinely never truly worked with any vendor, especially for a couple, where we didn't understand we were on the same team. And part of how I approach it is I do not believe I am in charge of micromanaging other vendors. Other vendors are being hired because they have an expertise and because their job is necessary for the day to happen properly. Number one. Number two, if I am on site or if I am dealing with a vendor and I'm finding that they are missing the mark with a client because maybe they just don't see they don't see that, especially for my full plans, they're not spending the hours I'm spending with them. They're just not, right? It's something like 380 hours. Like I spend a lot of time with my full plan couples, right? So there's some times where a well-intentioned vendor is missing the mark, not because they do not know or have the expertise, but because they just do not know the couple as well as I know them. I will always put myself in the position of translator. So if I'm finding that a videographer is trying to get something done, for instance, and the couple is just not understanding why, I will go back to explain why the vendor is wanting that. And I will tell the stories of this bad thing happened and I saw it. Like the reason why they're asking for this is it's not because they're trying to duplicate work, or they're literally trying to make sure that they're capturing things, that they're doing it properly, and you don't care, but if you don't care, they're not going to be able to meet your expectations. So I will infiltrate where I can to create a translation between the vendor and the couple, or I will push for the couple. If the vendor is unfortunately in a scenario where they're just not getting it and they're not understanding the importance of the thing, or because other couples don't care, but this specific couple really does care, I will always put myself in a loving position to say, hey, no, seriously, this will cause an issue. You're not understanding it because you're not a part of these conversations, but I will give you a little bit of emotional background to explain why this happens. And usually with the context, they're like, oh, okay, because they're people with feelings too. So that's what my process is to really humanize both sides to each other and really remove the financial element once the contract is signed. Once we've agreed on the budget and once we are all on the same team, now we're people working with people. And so that's what I try to do, is to kind of remove all of the heebie-jeebies around contracts. And once we've agreed, once the contract is solid and things are okay and we know what the goal is and we know the budget, then I try to just make us human to each other. And then that way, by the time you get to the day, we're a full team. Like we love each other and we're working together for this couple. We're all people working together for each other. So, because like we're all working for the client, make their day beautiful. Photography, videography is literally giving me content to share for free without a licensing agreement in most cases. That's massive. I am designing something. The florist is buying, like we're literally doing something that costs thousands of dollars. And it's just going to create, like, why are we backbiting each other when we're literally working for people in love to create beautiful things that we all get to share? Doesn't make any sense. So I just really try to create an environment where everybody feels seen, respected, and human. Because it's also usually we're all small businesses. Like nobody's in a big business with millions of dollars protecting them to get into fights and all that. You know what I mean? So like, no, too exhausting. Even think about it.
Thank you for your answer.
Well, thank you for your question. That was a brilliant question. It was just unleashed so much, and I feel like it connects back to what we were saying earlier about the deeper purpose, the why, that you're so, like, you've got a passion and a superpower at getting to that why. Because I think when you're connected to that why, all the things you've just been describing, they're just clear to you, right? You don't see it as like, oh, we've only got to please the couple. Oh, we've only got to please the suppliers. When you're connected to the why, you see the bigger picture, the common ground, and you just know what's needed. So it's beautiful to hear that come out in your storytelling.
Well, I mean, it's even down to like what Steve Moore said when he was here, right? Like we are in a service industry. And I think that when we lose sight of the fact that we are serving somebody, and not to be a servant, but we are literally, at least from my point of view, right? Like I was a bride and I have all these moments and all these things and all these thoughts that I'm just like, I know what she's feeling right now. I know what it's like to have your dad walk in the room, and no matter what happened in that relationship before that moment, you are in your father of the bride scene. And I know what that hit feels like, where you're overwhelmed and you're in tears and you're envisioning this and all the things are happening. And I know what it's like to miss aspects of the day because no one was there and advocated for it. And you missed this emotional moment that you planned and envisioned and you didn't get to be a part of because you were taking photos with your husband. you're in another emotionally important moment, but you're missing another moment. It's like, so I just literally put myself in this thought process of like, I'm here to serve this moment for these people to just be in love and actually get to have the day that they envision. That it's just like it, because it just lives in their spirit for the rest of their life. So it's just like, that's where it all comes from, is that brain conversation I have every single day, you know.
I feel like we could just throw this video recording out to the world and you'll just be like inundated with new clients, because like everything you're saying just is gold and it's hitting the mark, like emotionally, not just intellectually. It's incredible. And I think everyone can feel it. I can see that. Do we have any more questions, comments, anything from anyone for Kirsten? I know we're over on time.
I don't really have a question, but I just have to say that you are so amazing.
Oh, thank you.
I mean,
Thank you.
I can if you tell your story, if your couple's story is told how you just enamored us with your story, I can't imagine any couple not being totally honored to work with you. I mean, I actually got a tear. I got a tear a couple of times. I'm just saying, you are like a really, really good storyteller. And I'm honored to be in your presence at the moment. And just to hear you, it's just like, I could listen to you like all day long. You're very, the clarity of your purpose, and it's just amazing. I'm totally amazed by you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. It's been a journey. It's been a lot of work, but it's a journey. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
I just wanted to touch like 10-second point on like the Kirstens of the world. Not that you're not beautiful and unique and incredible, just you, but there are so many versions of you in this industry who are so passionate and you know, this
100%.
narrative out there that wedding vendors are money grubbing and greedy and the wedding tax and all the bullshit. And like, this is why I wanted ConnectWed to exist, because couples deserve to be able to find the yous of this world. Like, each couple has a Kirsten that's their perfect fit, right? Times however many vendors. So yeah, I mean, you're it, man. You're the example of what really fuels the good parts of the wedding industry. So we're really honored to have you as a member.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Welcome.
Well, I feel we could end on that high. From my point of view, that feels like, you know, that kind of said it all. A beautiful way to end. What an incredible interview, chat, conversation, soul-searching kind of conversation that has been with you today. So thank you so, so much for sharing everything that you did, for opening up, for digging so deep. I think each and every one of us on this call has felt it and has appreciated it. So thank you.
Thank you for listening.
And I will say, as I said at the beginning, the real magic happens outside of these sessions. So do feel the inspiration and the pull and the love that you felt for Kirsten today. Do take it and reach out to her. Set up those one-on-one chats. You know, spark those initiatives, projects, whatever they are, because this is just the beginning.